If you've been on Roblox long enough, you've probably noticed that the platform has this strange talent for taking the most innocent idea imaginable and somehow twisting it into something that leaves you staring at your monitor, wondering who came up with it in the first place. One minute you're decorating a house, the next minute you're trapped in a forest where everyone keeps talking about fresh meat, mysterious disappearances, and a suspicious stew that's somehow always ready at exactly the wrong time. It's honestly impressive. Roblox has millions of games, and every once in a while somebody decides that horror isn't scary enough unless somebody's dinner menu starts looking a little questionable. That's where these cannibalism-inspired Roblox games come in. They don't usually throw the concept directly in your face. Instead, they build suspense piece by piece until you slowly realize you're not the customer. You're the special of the day. The funny part is that Roblox somehow manages to make these games disturbing without showing anything graphic. Everything is built around implication, creepy dialogue, unsettling environments, and your own imagination doing most of the heavy lifting. Honestly, your brain ends up creating something scarier than anything they could have shown anyway. That's probably why these games stick with people long after they leave the server. It's not because they saw something horrifying, it's because they connected the dots themselves, and once those dots connect, there isn't any disconnecting them. So naturally, I decided to jump into a bunch of these games to see exactly why people keep playing them, because apparently that's how I choose to spend my free time now. Instead of making financially responsible decisions or touching grass, I'm investigating virtual restaurants where the chef keeps smiling a little too much. Sounds productive. The first thing you notice across almost every game in this category is how normal everything looks at the beginning. That's intentional. If somebody spawned you directly into a room with giant warning signs saying, "Definitely don't get eaten," you'd probably leave immediately. Instead, they lure you in with cozy cabins, friendly NPCs, peaceful villages, abandoned campsites, or diners that look like they've been frozen in time since 1984. Everything feels slightly off, but not enough for you to immediately question it. It's like walking into someone's house and noticing they have 47 family portraits, except every single family member somehow has the exact same smile. You don't know what's wrong, but something definitely isn't adding up. Then the clues begin. Maybe somebody mentions travelers never returning. Maybe there are missing person posters nailed to trees. Maybe you notice suspicious bones lying near a campfire that definitely don't belong to deer. Suddenly your character starts asking questions, and that's usually the point where every horror fan watching already knows you've made a catastrophic life decision. Horror protagonists have this incredible ability to investigate situations that absolutely don't require investigating. If I found an abandoned cabin with strange noises coming from the basement, my investigation would consist of running in the opposite direction until my avatar hit the map border. Meanwhile, these characters grab a flashlight and say, "Let's see what's down there." That's survival instincts operating at negative numbers. One thing Roblox developers understand surprisingly well is pacing. They know exactly how long to keep you guessing before revealing another tiny piece of the puzzle. Instead of throwing constant jump scares at you every 5 seconds, they build tension through atmosphere. The soundtrack becomes quieter, the lighting grows darker. Hallways stretch a little longer than they should. NPCs stop making eye contact. Doors begin locking behind you. Before long, you're walking through empty kitchens wondering why every refrigerator in this building is suspiciously oversized. Every tiny detail starts feeling important because the game has trained you to distrust absolutely everything. Even a loaf of bread sitting on a table somehow feels threatening. Then there are the chase sequences, because apparently no Roblox horror game is legally allowed to exist without at least one section where you're sprinting for your life while something horrifying stomps behind you. The difference here is that once you understand what these creatures actually are, the panic hits differently. You're not escaping a random monster anymore. You're escaping somebody who sees you as dinner. Suddenly every missed jump becomes 10 times more stressful. Every wrong turn feels like signing your own death certificate. Your fingers somehow forget where the WASD keys are, despite using them every day for years. It's amazing how quickly your coordination disappears under pressure. I've watched people confidently speedrun obstacle courses, then completely forget how stairs work the moment a cannibal starts chasing them with suspicious enthusiasm. Another thing I appreciate is how creative these developers get with storytelling, despite Roblox's limitations. Since they can't rely on graphic visuals, they lean heavily into environmental storytelling. You find journals describing desperate survivors. You uncover hidden rooms beneath cabins. You discover abandoned villages where meals were left unfinished because everybody disappeared overnight. The more you explore, the more horrifying the overall picture becomes. Sometimes the monster isn't even the scariest part. Sometimes it's realizing what happened before you arrived. Those moments hit surprisingly hard because they reward curiosity instead of punishing it. Well, technically they also punish it because you're probably about to get chased again, but at least you learn some lore first. That's educational. Some games even blur the line between monster and victim. You discover characters who turn to cannibalism because they were stranded, starving, or manipulated into impossible situations. That moral complexity adds another layer to the horror. You're no longer looking at cartoon villains twirling imaginary mustaches while plotting evil dinner recipes. You're looking at people who crossed a line they never thought they'd cross. That kind of storytelling sticks with you because it raises uncomfortable questions about survival and human nature. Thankfully, I'm asking those questions from the safety of my gaming chair while eating chips instead of trapped in a frozen wilderness. Context matters. Of course, not every game aims for serious psychological horror. Some lean completely into absurdity, and honestly, those are hilarious in their own way. You'll find games where giant chefs chase players through oversized kitchens while yelling about today's special. You'll have NPCs casually asking whether you've seen their missing neighbor while standing next to a suspicious meat grinder the size of a truck. The tonal whiplash is incredible. 1 second you're laughing because the animations are ridiculous. The next second the soundtrack changes and suddenly you're wondering if maybe the joke ended 5 minutes ago without anyone telling you. That's a surprisingly effective combination, because comedy lowers your guard before the horror sneaks back in. Roblox players also deserve some credit, because the community somehow turns every terrifying situation into complete chaos. You'll have one player carefully solving puzzles, while another is jumping on tables wearing a giant duck costume. Somebody else keeps screaming in chat that they accidentally locked themselves inside a freezer. Another player insists they're speedrunning despite dying every 12 seconds. Multiplayer horror has this magical ability to transform absolute terror into accidental comedy. Half the fear comes from the game itself. The other half comes from watching your teammate confidently run directly toward danger while yelling, "Trust me, I know what I'm doing." They never know what they're doing. They are lying to themselves and everyone around them. Then comes my favorite part of these games, the plot twists. Developers love making you believe one character is the villain before revealing somebody completely different has been orchestrating everything from behind the scenes. Maybe the friendly shopkeeper secretly supplies victims. Maybe the helpful guide has been leading travelers into traps. Maybe the person begging for rescue has been manipulating every newcomer from the beginning. Those twists work because horror thrives on broken trust. Once you realize nobody is safe to rely on, every conversation becomes suspicious. Suddenly you're questioning every smile, every compliment, every free meal, especially the free meals. Never trust free food in horror games. There is a 100% chance you're about to regret accepting the soup. Another interesting pattern is how these games use hunger itself as a mechanic. Food becomes both survival and temptation. You're constantly searching for supplies while wondering whether anything you find is safe to eat. It's a simple mechanic, but it reinforces the central theme perfectly. Every decision feels meaningful because survival depends on resources. Yet those same resources might be connected to something deeply disturbing. That constant uncertainty creates tension without requiring non-stop action. Sometimes the quiet moments are scarier than the chase scenes because your imagination has room to wander into places the game never explicitly shows. Sound design also deserves way more appreciation than it usually gets. Footsteps echo differently depending on where you are. Doors creak with uncomfortable realism. Wind whistles through broken windows. Distant laughter somehow becomes the most terrifying noise imaginable once you understand the context. Then everything suddenly goes silent. Silence is one of horror's greatest weapons because your brain starts filling the empty space with possibilities. You're expecting something to happen, but you don't know when. Every second stretches longer, every movement feels louder. Then somebody behind you accidentally knocks over a virtual bucket and your soul temporarily exits your body. Congratulations, you've been psychologically outplayed by digital cookware. Even visually, these games know how to maximize atmosphere. Dense forests limit visibility, fog hides movement, flickering lights reveal silhouettes for half a second before disappearing again. Narrow hallways create claustrophobia despite existing inside colorful Roblox blocks. It's honestly impressive how much emotion developers squeeze out of such a simple visual style. Proof that atmosphere has never depended entirely on realistic graphics. Creativity consistently beats raw fidelity when people know how to use it. Some of the best scares come from anticipation instead of expensive visuals. That's something plenty of larger studios still struggle to understand. One aspect people rarely talk about is replayability. Once you know the story, you'd expect the tension to disappear. Yet these games often include multiple endings, hidden collectibles, secret dialogue, alternate escape routes, or randomized events that keep every playthrough slightly different. Suddenly, you're returning because you missed a journal page or heard rumors about a hidden ending where different choices completely change the outcome. That extra depth transforms a simple horror experience into something worth revisiting, even after you've memorized most of the scares. And of course, YouTubers absolutely love these games because they create perfect reaction content. Every suspicious hallway becomes an opportunity for commentary. Every unexpected chase produces instant panic. Every twist creates discussion. Viewers enjoy watching somebody else make terrible decisions because they're comfortably sitting on the other side of the screen, thinking they would have handled everything differently. They wouldn't. The second the music kicked in, they'd also start running into walls while forgetting which direction was forward. Fear has a wonderful way of uninstalling common sense. At the end of all this, I think what makes Roblox cannibalism-inspired horror games stand out isn't the shocking premise. It's how effectively they build suspense through implication instead of spectacle. They understand that fear grows strongest when players participate in creating it. A hidden basement says more than a detailed explanation ever could. A suspicious dinner table tells a story before anybody speaks. A single missing chair becomes unsettling once you start asking why everyone else has a place setting except one person. Those tiny details accumulate until you're completely invested in escaping, uncovering the truth, or figuring out who you should never accept dinner invitations from again. It's clever design hiding inside blocky characters and simple maps, proving once again that creativity beats complexity every single time. So the next time you load into what looks like a harmless cabin in the woods, a cozy mountain village, or a cheerful little restaurant with surprisingly affordable prices, maybe keep one eye on the exit. If the chef smiles a little too much, if the locals keep mentioning fresh ingredients with uncomfortable enthusiasm, or if somebody insists tonight's mystery stew is made with a secret family recipe, congratulations. You have officially entered the exact kind of Roblox horror game that turns curiosity into regret faster than you can hit the respawn button. And somehow, despite every red flag imaginable waving directly in your face, you're still going to walk through the next door anyway, because that's what horror games do best. They convince you that maybe, this time, the basement won't be hiding anything unusual. Spoiler alert, the basement is never normal.